Story 1. Cartel videos affected me significantly. I became curious and started reading about them. Story 2. In 2010, dark web surfing as a teenager traumatized me significantly. There were images of child pornography and torture involving children. It was disturbingly easy to find such content. I believe I will never truly get over it, to be honest. Story 3. On an anonymous forum for online writers, a disabled girl shared her writing tips for free, explaining how she managed to earn around $1,000 a month just by typing with her hands. Because she revealed a lot of personal information, a few jealous individuals reported her to the local authorities, attempting to have her disability benefits revoked. When the officials arrived to check on her, she had to crawl on the floor and kneel just to open the door. Story 4. There was a website where people wrote confessions, and there were individuals discussing inappropriate activities with their students or relatives. It was disturbing. There's also a site for individuals with incel beliefs, where they posted threads featuring real women. I don't know where they found those photos, but it was unsettling. I think about these things often. Story 5. A man assaulted the daughter of a local Brazilian drug dealer. They restrained him and a dog bit his genitals. The image of the dog pulling until pieces of flesh were torn while the man writhed in pain still haunts me. Story 6. I once stumbled upon a video where a man was trying to twist a cat's neck while smiling at the camera, and the cat was screaming. I remember feeling disgusted and angry and reported the video before clicking away. For some reason, that image of the man smiling at the camera is stuck in my mind. I can't remember what it was called. It was about 15 years ago. Story 7. Not disgusting, but definitely disturbing and tragic. The video of the family driving down the highway and the rock flying through the windshield and splitting the wife's head in half. The husband's and baby's screams are absolutely chilling and haunting. Story 8. I have developed mental resilience against many difficult situations, but I accidentally saw a video where a Brazilian woman was showcasing herself playing with a puppy. From what I understand, she was identified by her local government and arrested shortly after the video aired. However, I have never forgotten the screams and cries of that puppy. That video reminded me that even the sweetest-looking people can be capable of terrible actions. Story 9. I was young and didn't know what 4chan was. One day, while browsing, I stumbled upon this site called 4chan. My curiosity got the best of me and I clicked. The first thing I saw was a picture of a man engaged in an explicit act with a corpse in a morgue. I quickly left the site and never returned. Story 10. When I was younger, I saw a video of two men throwing a puppy from a viaduct. The puppy obviously started to scream in pain. My heart still breaks when I think about it, and it still angers me. Story 11. A photo series of around 5 pictures of someone cutting off his glands with a knife. In the last picture, it is separated. Story 12. The video showed cartel members with a man tied to a pole while a pit bull was gnawing on him. Everything was red except his pelvis, which appeared white due to the bone. Story 13. The lathe incident was difficult. Transitioning from a regular person at work to being a scattered mess of debris in a matter of seconds was challenging. Story 14. One guy, one jar. Don't look it up. You don't want to see it. Spoiler alert. Neither the jar nor the guy come out okay. That sound. The sound. I will never forget the sound. I'm having flashbacks. Story 15. A group from Amazon gathered individuals for an execution. They slit their throats one by one and discarded them into a ditch. This experience remains vivid in my memory. Story 16. I don't recall, but the other day I saw a van with the business name Tub Guys. It definitely made me think of Tub Girl. Story 17. Cameras in Eyes. I saw it on YouTube when I was about 8. It is still available. Story 18. A woman is placing a very sad-looking snake in an inappropriate location while appearing quite sorrowful about it. This is frankly horrific. Story 19. A man is using a chainsaw to remove the head of a live pig, while people off-screen laugh as the headless body kicks and flails. Story 20. I wanted to work as a forensic coroner and thought I should find out if I could handle violently treated bodies or bodies in general. I was very interested in understanding how different crimes leave various impacts on the body. At that time, I was between 15 and 21 years old. I read autopsy reports, but eventually I needed visual content. That's when I discovered a certain website. I decided not to pursue a career as a forensic coroner. Additionally, someone sent me popular gore videos, and I was sickened by how terrible people can be to one another. This experience made me quite cynical for a long time. Story 21. There is a video on a popular platform where British soldiers liberated the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp and were horrified to find all the bodies and suffering present. They recorded this to provide evidence of the war crimes. I must say, I never believed in evil until I watched that video. I lost my appetite for about a week. You cannot unsee it. Emaciated bodies were piled high and being loaded onto the backs of trucks to be buried in mass graves, their limbs hanging off the sides. British soldiers stood there, looking shell-shocked by what they were witnessing around them. It was absolutely horrific. Story 22. The live video of the Christchurch Mosque shooting appeared in an alert on my phone. I searched for it and was directed to the live video on Facebook as the shooter fired the first shots at people outside the mosque. I couldn't stop watching. It was unsettling. Story 23. I was 13. The girl in the video was 10 with an adult man. I thought it was acceptable back then since it was on the internet. Story 24. Obviously, anything related to cartels has been mentioned many times, so I will choose something else. One incident that sticks with me involves a helicopter taking off. For some reason, it leaned forward while still on the ground, and someone standing too close was struck, resulting in a tragic outcome. Story 25. Sponsored by Adidas. If you know. Funky Town and Miss Pac-Man were also tough, but seeing a beating heart was tougher. Story 26. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that. Story 27. This picture shows a boy whose head was injured by a green truck, with blood splattered everywhere. I still feel like my head is splattering every time I remember this. Story 28. A guy I once worked with who was really messed up showed me a video that stuck with me. It was of a man being held down and gutted in a gang-related incident. I still can't understand why he would want that on his phone. Story 29. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. Story 30. The Daniel Pearl video had a significant impact on me as a sophomore in high school. It made me realize how real the world is and what people are capable of. I wish the 16-year-old version of myself had never seen it, as it left me feeling quite disturbed for a while. Story 31. I was doing an online image search for innocent, non-nude pictures of scream queens, actresses in low-budget horror films, to post on Facebook in some of my favorite movie groups. I came across a rare, never-before-seen candid photo of a scream queen with a dog. It was perfect. I clicked on the photo in hopes of finding more similar images. The moment I was taken to this unfamiliar site, it forcibly uploaded a file onto my computer, and I was greeted with a photo of a half-naked female infant lying on the floor. Between her legs was some whitish substance or a photo distortion. That wasn't all. Kneeling beside her was an adult male without pants. His face wasn't visible in the photo because his entire head was out of the frame. This was not what I was looking for. I panicked because I had heard how authorities track down individuals involved in child exploitation online through various technological means. I was pretty sure my IP address would be noticed and tracked, leading to law enforcement at my door while I tried to explain myself and my innocent actions. I deleted the file that the website had placed on my computer and quickly exited that site. I spent months worrying and waiting for that knock on the door, which thankfully never came. Story 32. A Mexican cartel video shows two individuals, a nephew and an uncle. The uncle receives a chainsaw to the throat, while the nephew is slowly stabbed in the throat. It is a horrific scene. Story 33. The Daily Capper. The online news and award show where individuals who exploit vulnerable girls brag about their achievements to each other and exchange images and videos. Amanda Todd was one of their victims and even interacted with them at one point, informing them that the police were aware of their harmful activities. Story 34. Some person poured boiling water on cats. It was even on Instagram, so I reported the profile and hoped for justice in real life. Story 35. That unsettling image of someone holding a toenail clipper to their front tooth is disturbing. I'm sure someone has done it, but just the thought of it makes me feel a bit dizzy. Story 36. This was probably in 2016. I was on Facebook, and I had an acquaintance from school who occasionally shared shocking videos. She would share them with a, "What is this?" attitude. For context, we were both around 18, either in high school or freshly out of it, if I remember correctly. She shared that infamous video of a guy with a snake, which was pretty bad, but that wasn't the worst. I saw a video start to play featuring a baby and what appeared to be a grown man's private parts getting close to or touching the baby's crotch. I don't even remember if the baby had a diaper on because it was such a disturbing image that I quickly left the page. I wish I had reported it. I'm sure someone else did at some point. I have no idea why that person thought it was okay to share that instead of just reporting it. I guess it was one of those instances where people cared more about sharing how horrible things are rather than handling issues sensitively and pragmatically. Story 37. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that. Story 38. During the beta of the first Descendant, I joined the Discord and noticed that all the moderators were from Korea. This meant there was no moderation during US active hours. Naturally, some individuals took advantage of this. There were continuous postings of inappropriate content by a few people. It was disturbing, and even thinking back on it now makes me feel uneasy. I left the server quickly after witnessing this, but it's hard to forget what I saw. Story 39. A South American child is attacked by piranhas, and their family carries away the remains while crying. The piranhas consumed everything except the head and shoes, and somehow the skeleton remained fully intact. Story 40. Makes me sick to my stomach every time I think about it. Story 41. It's kind of vile what you can accidentally see on Google Images. I am an adult artist and use references to ensure I get proportions right when they are in tangled positions. I went to look for nude body references on Google to get proportions correct for my sketch, and as I was scrolling through the images, I was confronted with shocking content that made me feel nauseous. I literally felt my chest hurt because it surprised me, and I exited the window. Nothing in my search should have resulted in that image, yet somehow it appeared just a few scrolls down from the search bar. It's incredibly frustrating. Story 42. 2 girls, 1 cup. For those who don't know, I strongly suggest not searching this for your own good. Story 43. I saw a video of someone cooking hot dogs split open on a grill with large bug larvae on them. They sprayed something on them, and the larvae expanded from the spray. It was horrible. Story 44. Somewhere on YouTube, they were participating in the little bit naughty trend, and when it went, sometimes you have to be a little bit naughty. She pulled her pants down, knowing that kids were watching. Story 45. On a live free poker site, some men exposed themselves, which was disgusting. I switched to a format that did not show the live person on the other end and then quit altogether. Story 46. There is a video of a person climbing into a sewage reservoir. Certainly grossed me out. Story 47. I couldn't sleep for 5 days at the official beginning of the 2 recent genocides in Ukraine and Palestine. I watched the videos as they emerged, seeking to witness the events after the propaganda efforts of the world tried to erase them. The same applies to the riots in Cairo in 2013. Families, unarmed and massacred, some holding white flags and almost all running away. We are a wretched species. Our governments are completely corrupt, doing their best to pretend otherwise so that the people do not turn against them. We are ruled not by the faces and colors of our elected officials, but by those who lobby our governments. Story 48. Cannons blowing people apart at close range. These were executions in North Korea. Those individuals fell apart like books. Story 49. Well, the subreddit used to be a community. I saw some horrifying things there. One incident I can't forget is when they were trying to pull a big truck with a tiny tractor using a steel chain. Due to the tension while pulling, the chain snapped and cut through the tractor, along with the person inside it. There were graphic pictures of the aftermath. Story 50. That video shows a man who saved his friend from drowning but ended up drowning himself. In the video, they pulled him out of the water after everything except his head was eaten by the fish. Story 51. I saw a picture of maggots once and almost gagged. I dislike maggots, and just typing this is making me feel nauseous. Story 52. In the early days of the internet, I witnessed some murders and beheadings that were recorded, along with people engaging in disturbing behavior. Story 53. Thanks to the gore and not safe for life communities I appreciate a lot. A man was torn apart by a machine or turbine. A picture depicts a woman who cheated on her mafia husband. Story 54. Video of a man in an African country who had been beheaded, but his body was still breathing. The noise from his disengaged trachea sounded like a slurping, wet balloon nozzle. Grim. Story 55. The photo of the woman who had her brain scattered after flipping her convertible was haunting. Story 56. I saw the usual content online, including graphic videos of violence. Did anyone ever visit Style Project? I came across a Russian video showing a morgue filled with what I believe were soldiers. They were being dismembered and dissected, not for scientific reasons, but simply cut into pieces and discarded in buckets. There was no explanation for what was happening, and that was the most disturbing part. I never found out what it was about. Story 57. Some of the content that gets screenshotted or reposted on the subreddit r/inceltears is quite disturbing, though that may not be the type of visual the original poster is looking for. Story 58. I feel like it is fairly tame compared to the things I have seen, especially because it was on the surface web. I saw a man scoop up the maggot-infested remains of a dead deer or elk, a very large one, and try to eat it. He vomited immediately, and it was the only thing that made me actually gag. I have seen people's heads get crushed. Story 59. Fan art of Lightning McQueen caring for Sonic's baby. I don't understand people who create this, and I'm a furry. Story 60. A man fails to jump far enough off a wall into the water, landing face down and hitting his face on the concrete. He later sees a video of surgeons attempting to repair his fractured skull. Story 61. The Pain Olympics. A man castrated himself with a rope and a knife. An infamous video from Ukraine captured two teenagers bludgeoning a homeless man to death with a hammer, showing no remorse. The 2014 Russian invasion of Crimea revealed the aftermath of a mortar attack on civilians, with a European news channel displaying dismembered body parts of children as if it were a nature documentary, highlighting the callousness of the entire newsreel. Story 62. A mother is crying and screaming as she tries to put her injured child back together after he was hit by a truck, with his remains scattered everywhere. Story 63. Boys sleepover when we were about 12. We watched Three Guys, One Hammer. Those images still come to mind from time to time. Story 64. I can't remember the full details, but a guy was racing down the highway at night. He crashed his car, going over 100 miles per hour into a sign. The pole went through his head. He survived, and they showed him in the hospital. It was very disturbing. Story 65. I'm a new motorcyclist. In the motorcycle forum, while researching boots, I saw people discussing a specific post, so I went looking for it. The individual turned his foot around on his bike. It was disturbing. You could see the bone. I bought boots after seeing that post. Story 66. The young men who killed the older man with a hammer and screwdriver were tough. Funky Town was not worth watching. The Porsche girl was quite unpleasant. I can watch combat footage while eating my breakfast and not react as a Russian conscript is turned into red confetti, but show me a video of an injured animal and I lose my composure. Story 67. Beheadings and torture videos were prevalent when I was in 5th grade. Kids in my class would share their gruesome discoveries, and I was haunted for weeks, thinking it could be me and my family next. It still affects me to this day. Story 68. Browsers did not have the kinds of filters they do now. I was trying to print coloring sheets for myself and my younger siblings when I encountered a picture that looked like a legitimate rotting human body upon opening the website. I still remember the details vividly over 25 years later. It was an important lesson on caution on the internet, which made me completely unwilling to entertain opening anything like that as a teenager. No thanks. Story 69. Very tame compared to the rest of the content here. but I was raised on fluffy abuse and those Elsa Gate videos. Story 70, cereal and milk, but instead of a bowl, it's a person's super gaped backside. Edit. It was Fruit Loops, by the way. Story 71. I remember once being on Twitter and seeing a dog attacking a man while he was still alive. The man was a sexual offender who had assaulted a 2-year-old girl in a small village. So the villagers decided that this would be his punishment instead of killing him or calling the police. Story 72. I have seen some disturbing content, but for some reason, the one that really traumatized me was a video of children playing with a nail gun during a live stream. A boy was waving it around like a gun and held it up to his little sister, accidentally injuring her. He then began to scream and panic, and he turned the weapon on himself. The mother entered, screaming, while a baby cried in the background. The sheer horror of watching a family destroyed by an ignorant child who didn't know better and had access to a dangerous object struck me deeply. The fear, despair, and shock experienced by everyone involved were profound. Story 73. Ukrainians are dying from Russian landmines. This is disturbing. A drone streamed the entire event, celebrating every single Ukrainian death. A transporter with a medic tried to help, jumping to assist a severely injured soldier, but it exploded as well. Story 74. Someone had an account filled with videos of women stepping on men's feet in high heels and shoving objects into them, causing bleeding. Story 75. There is a short video called Putrid Sex Object that is still stuck in my head. I don't remember what kind of disturbing rabbit hole I was going down at the time to have stumbled upon it, but it definitely affected me. I couldn't look at horses the same way for a while. Story 76. Murder in Africa, mangled faces after an accident, people's heads being severed, etc. I found it on a website, and if you want to view graphic content, search for brutal content on that site. Story 77. A necrophilia manual from the mid-2000s. I was in middle school and didn't go online for months after that. It was horrific. You wouldn't think it, but a traditional web search back then could lead to as much of a rabbit hole as anything on social media today. Story 78. There was an Instagram account where they tortured animals. I remember one of the videos showed a horse being burned alive. I was about 12 years old, and I still remember the horse screaming. Story 79. Someone in high school showed me a video of a terrorist act where they beheaded a person starting from the neck. I still dislike that he showed me that unexpectedly in class. Story 80. A few years ago, I saw pictures of a late-term abortion. The entrails were exposed, and limbs were severed. Those lifeless eyes are permanently etched in my mind. I will never forget them. When I was a teenager, someone sent me a video of a prison riot. A person's head was crushed with a brick, and then the person holding the camera decapitated him with a knife. The point of view made it even more disturbing. Recently, I have seen images of deceased Palestinian children from the war, lying on the side of the road. I remember one girl who appeared so lifelike. Being blown up is not always like it is portrayed in movies, as the body can remain relatively intact. Story 81. Maybe not the most disgusting, but these are the top 2 that still make me cringe. In an old, now deleted Discord server, someone posted a GIF of a guy fitting an entire soccer ball into his anus and then popping it back out. The same user also posted a video of someone cutting their arms, with the skin falling open and looking like bloody lunch meat, while a random bass-boosted remix played in the background. I was a minor when I saw both of those. Story 82. My therapist was in an online session. He didn't notice that I was already connected, so I saw him pick his nose and eat a booger. Story 83. Last year, I saw a video of someone holding a severed Palestinian baby's head and placing it into a plastic bag. I am forever changed. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.